So since I've been talking long enough, DB, I guess you will be starting us off here with yours.
The film Suzume. Rob Schneider is a chair. No, seriously. So if you've seen Weathering to You or Your Name, you've kind of already seen Suzume, because Makoto Shinkai, the anime director, loves to do these coming of age stories about a young girl or young guy turned girl in the case of Your Name. Spoiler alert.
Hmm.
Uh, but also, hey, Holy Ninja.
Hey, Ninja.
Uh, but and it's fun. It's weird to say that I feel like they keep making the same movie with some
Hmm.
details changed, but I feel like they make it a little bit better every time.
Hmm.
So plotline is the titular Suzume is living her normal junior high life when suddenly she runs into a handsome older boy, ooh,
Ooh.
who is what they call a closer. Although apparently in the I forget what the term was that is a review of somebody who had seen the English dub. They had a different name for it, but in the Japanese they call them a closer. You might say, "What's a closer? Is it somebody who gets coffee?" No, coffee is not for closers in this movie. Uh, it's basically now this is one of those things where one of my friends who I watched it with was a little bit confused about some of the details. Holy crap, 1,000 blocked ads, and I've had this ad blocker for about 30 seconds. What
Wow.
website am I on that's just trying to spam me with ads?
I don't know. Jeez.
I'm going to guess it's one of the, well, I'm going to guess it's one of the news sites I have open. Anyhow,
Yeah. Yeah.
back on topic.
Yeah. Same.
So, but it's kind of one of those things where you kind of just have to accept the kind of mythical nature of it.
Hmm.
There are these doors spread around Japan in abandoned areas, and if they are opened, then this enormous beast called the worm, which is kind of like a bunch of red tentacles, comes out and causes disasters, specifically massive earthquakes.
Uh,
So the closers go from place to place to place, closing these doors.
hmm. Okay.
Um, well, Suzume accidentally unleashes the guardian of one of these, a cat whose name I forget, Daijin, I think.
Mm.
Uh, and he's like, he doesn't want to be a guardian who's frozen in like a stony form anymore. He wants to go play, so that causes problems. And he curses our handsome stranger here to be Suzume's childhood chair.
Oh, jeez.
So there are lots of scenes of the chair running around, walking around, chasing after the cat
Oh.
as they wander about Japan and meet a variety of colorful characters. Now, I'm sure everyone wants to know. Yes, at one point she does sit on his face.
Ah. I'm hearing Monty Python in my head now.
Yes. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, this is a. I watched a film threat review from who's the guy who does it with Chris Gore,
Uh,
the
Alan Ning.
Alan. Yeah, Alan was just completely confused by this. He had no idea what he was watching,
Okay.
which you kind of have to understand, like, or you kind of appreciate what the how to call it what the anime or like how anime is kind of its own language at times.
Yeah.
Because I found it understandable enough. You just kind of accepted, okay, there are supernatural things afoot. It's kind of more about the feels than the brains.
Yeah.
And it's Suzume trying to turn our handsome stranger back from being a chair into being a handsome stranger again, and stopping the destruction of Japan by the worm.
Uh, yeah.
I would say that some of the best parts of the movie were the randos they run into as they're going out and about.
Hmm.
Because of course, she's like what junior high, so she's running away from home, so she kind of has to rely on the kindness of strangers, and some interesting misadventures happen as a result of that.
Yeah.
It did feel like it went slightly long, though. that was partially because I'd had a large soda before sitting down, and
Uh,
so it's like I was holding out for like, okay, this feels like the end of the movie. Oh, it isn't. Okay, zip zip.
yeah. Yeah, I remember that about Your Name and Weathering with You. Like, you think the movie's coming to an end, you think it's over, but it's like, no, it just keeps going
Yeah,
and keeps going. Yeah,
yeah. Your Name in particular, I feel like
yeah,
Your Name, like I was mentioning before the show, Your Name had the two inexplicable music videos that felt like the openings to an anime that didn't exist because it was a movie.
yeah,
And if you
yeah,
told me that Weathering with You was originally meant to be a OVA, I would believe you, just based on those two things being awkwardly mashed into the middle of the movie at different points.
yeah, yeah. I would agree. Yeah.
But this felt more like a proper movie,
Okay.
and it's a visual treat. This is like the most gorgeous animation that you're going to see out of Japan these days.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's another. What that is one thing I will say about again with Your Name and Weathering with You. The animation is gorgeous. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know if this is an original story because I know that Your Name was originally a light novel.
Hmm.
So uh, I've heard people claim that all of these movies take place in the same continuity. So does that mean that we're going to have a Nick Fury character get together a team of ja- of seemingly ordinary Japanese teenage girls to I don't know, find out some mystery of their past together? Because that's what these always seem to be about.
Yeah, maybe. They could be building to that. Yeah,
But would I recommend Suzume? Yeah, it's just it's a nice time.
Mm,
It it's not the it's not the bestest movie ever, but it's kind of plays in that Miyazaki zone.
yeah, yeah. I definitely like kind of like stories like that that make you feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. My one friend was really annoyed at the end of Your Name, where they didn't explicitly say that the two of them got together at the end.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I
but
think
it's
I
like,
think it's implied, heavily implied that they did.
hey, hey, Holy Ninja, you take that out of your mouth. A View to a Kill was a great movie.
So, Mr. Bonds, you got to stop me from destroying Silicon Valley.
Yeah. I'm like 80s Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I have to say about Suzume because I don't want to spoil too much. But
Yeah. Yes, and for my
oh
thing,
crap,
oops.
no.
Uh-oh, technical difficulties. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So Daniel, you're one of those fake Star Trek fans who watched Star Trek Picard, and your particular views are exactly why Alex Kurtzman is now coming back to make more Star Trek STD.
Yes, that's right, Doomcock. I'm one of those fake Star Trek fans. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
But no, yeah, so Picard's the finale of season 3 of Picard dropped today. I actually just watched it before the show, and so I'm trying to go off of my memory from the previous episodes because this was a weekly show that they dropped a new episode once a week. Um, so I was not going to watch this. I was just like, no, I don't. I hated season 1. I didn't bother watching season 2. I watched Red Letter Media's review of season 2, and I'm like, no, I'm not.
I didn't even realize that Red Letter Media had come out with an review of season two.
Yeah, they did. Whatever it was, like, yeah, they did like a few different episodes. Yeah, like I think they did 3 different episodes of it.
Okay, so they didn't do like a huge omnibus one like they did with season one, where they just tore it to shreds for an hour.
No, they didn't.
They
No,
didn't give
yeah,
it the
they,
Mr. Plinkett treatment.
yeah, they, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so but I mean, Robert Meyer Burnett came out and he had pre-watched it a few months ago. praised it to the hilt, said it was great. And he's somebody that I have a good. I respect his opinion, um, and especially when it comes to Trek, because he knows Trek very well. He knows it better than I do. So I'm like, and then I heard from other people who said that it's actually pretty good. So all right, so I gave it a watch. Um, the first 4 episodes are really good, very entertaining. It sets up the problem, sets up the story pretty well. Um, I will say it gets a little meddling in the middle, like five episodes 5, 6, and 7 kind of seems to drag on a little.
Mm.
But then it picks up again in episode 8. But it's it I think the problem, and I heard another reviewer say that this could have easily been a 6 episode season, and
Mm.
could have tied had a nice tight story, but of course they didn't. It was 10 episodes.
Got to get that extra month of Paramount Plus out of you.
Exactly. Yeah. But it gets, but like I said, it gets better near the end, because uh, by the end of the 8th episode, the entire crew from the Next Generation are back together.
Also 7 of 9.
Yeah, and 7 of 9. Yes. Yeah. So I guess I'll try not to get too far into spoilers with it. So like the first, I'll talk about kind of like the overall story is. It starts off where with Dr. Crusher is in trouble. She's kind of Robert Meyer Burnett kind of described her as being like doing like a Doctors Without Borders type thing.
Mm.
So she's got like her own ship, and she's going around helping with medical stuff. Ninja Toe, as the show improved, yeah, it did. Yeah, it improved. And she's doing that, but all the while she's being hunted by somebody. She doesn't know who they are. They're after her, and she sends a message of help to Picard, and so Picard has to go help her, and he enlists the aid of Riker, and they
As you
get
do.
on. Yeah, as you do, yeah. And so they go on board. The ship in the image, by the way, is the Titan, which was Riker's ship. That was his old that he commanded. And 7 of 9, by the way, is the first officer on the
Hmm.
Titan. And the captain of the ship, his name is Shaw, and he's kind of it starts off, he's a real jerk. But you kind of warm up. You kind of understand where he's coming from as the season progresses. But they basically hijack the Titan so that they can rescue Crusher, and of course, then we meet the villain, who's played by Amanda Plummer. I'm trying to think of anything she's been in. All I know is that she's the daughter of Christopher Plummer. And for those of you who know your Trek, Christopher Plummer played General Chang in Star Trek 6.
She was in a movie in 2018 called We Are Boats.
Well,
And another movie called Abigail Harm.
hmm.
Both of which have slightly less than a 6 on IMDb. So,
Oof. Okay. well, this may be a good bump in her career. So that the whole motivation is that they're looking for Dr. Crusher's son, Jack Crusher. And okay, I'll give away a little spoiler here. Jack Crusher is also Picard's son.
bum, bum,
Bum,
bum.
bum. Yeah. So the whole thing is them trying to keep trying to keep Jack away from the bad guys, and then of course other things pop up throughout the season, and a bunch of you have a bunch of returning villains from previous Star Trek iterations. I will say you do kind of need to know your Trek
Hmm.
to watch this, and I don't just mean next gen. I mean DS9 and Voyager.
Oh,
Yeah.
so when do we get Star Trek Janeway?
Oh God, I hope not. I hope not. Uh, uh, but yeah. So what's interesting too is they brought back a lot of characters that you hadn't seen in a long time. Um, uh, like uh, um, I don't know if I well I don't want to spoil it, but it's definitely the Terry Matalas, who's the guy who oversaw this season. He's a big fan of the original series movies. The season had that feel of the original series movies, specifically 2, 3, and 4. Um, there's actually a nice little reference in the last episode, a nice little reference to Star Trek 4.
Hmm.
Well, there are actually a couple of references to Star Trek 4, but also like Star Trek 2, but yeah, like I said, 2 and 3. And you could also tell that with a lot of the musical cues. But it's definitely for the fans. And like I said, starts off really strong, gets a little meddling in the middle, but finishes on a high note.
Well, that's good. I mean, considering
Yeah.
this is almost certainly the last time we're going to see Patrick Stewart play the character.
Oh
For
yeah.
that matter, all these people playing their characters.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's yeah, and yeah, because yeah, they're all. I think they're all older than the original series cast was in Star Trek 6
Oof.
for the most part. Yeah, I think if you took the average age of everybody there, and then right there, and then compared it to the average age of from the crew from Star Trek 6, it probably would be they probably would be older. But yeah, I mean, like I said, if you love Star Trek, if you like the Next Generation, it's a good um, it gives the crew from the Next Generation a good ending and sends them off, as they should have been sent off with, because they didn't get that send off in Nemesis. So
No.
yeah.
Man, you wonder what could have been if they hadn't wasted the first two seasons of Picard on. Actually, did any plot lines carry over? Yeah, Holy Ninja's asking the same
Yeah.
question I did. Like because I'm not seeing any of those characters in this cast photo here.
The only one, so right there on Raffi. She was in the first two seasons. She comes back, but she actually has something to do in this. That's actually, uh, yeah,
What a
actually,
concept!
yeah, I know. Um, and she's actually not annoying. So
What another concept!
yeah, but yeah, but other than her and Seven of Nine, yeah, none of the other cast members from the first two seasons are in. Well, okay, the Romulan woman from that like that was working for him in the
Hmm.
first season, and then like in the second season, they were like starting a romance, which was really weird. She's in the first episode, and then because he tells her like, "Oh, I have to go, help,
My home planet
help."
needs me.
Yeah, I have to go now. My planet needs me. Yeah, and you never see her again. So
Well, I thought Romulus was destroyed. My planet needs me.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Well, well, it's Picard that leaves, not her. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but yeah, but it's basically the same thing. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know,
Well, I'm glad that and people I know at work who, although they've enjoyed the other new Star Treks, so I have to question their taste slightly.
yeah,
Uh, but they've been enjoying themselves with this. So I'm
yeah.
I'm not the biggest Trek fan in the world. I almost more enjoy talking about the series than actually watching it, which sounds weird. But
Mm,
I'm glad that everybody got a nice send off.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
All right,
Speaking
so
of nice send